There is a dark place, but I'm not going there. No, no, not on my way. There is a dark place, but I'm not going there. No, no, not on my way.
Hi, I'm Jordan.
And I'm Lex.
And this is Or Learn Parkour.
It's a podcast about ADHD, done by two people who most certainly have ADHD. Welcome.
Welcome back, everybody. We still have ADHD. We didn't lose it in the last few weeks. There has been no miracle cure.
We've lost a lot of other things, but not the ADHD.
What have we lost?
Like half my body weight and bodily fucking fluids.
That'll do it.
Yeah. Sorry for a little bit of a late episode, but not that sorry because I was death metal screaming into the toilet for 3 days straight. So, tough, alright? Y'all can wait.
We also realized we would have been dropping an episode on Juneteenth, which we weren't gonna do anyways, so...
Oh yeah, we have a policy of at least trying not to drop episodes when there's a holiday. I don't think we have before. I don't think we've accidentally posted one on a holiday, but...
Who knows?
Who's to say?
Not me.
Not me either.
I have no fucking clue what happens here.
Same. That's kind of the running, not joke, because it's not a joke, it's real.
It's real. Well, that's what the headline means. When we say an ADHD podcast, it's not just a podcast about ADHD. It's a podcast that is guided by the life principles of ADHD. But we're back.
Yeah, we're back. We normally, kind of dick around a bit before we get to the point of our episode. But given that I've, just have nothing in me, I am a husk of a human.
Yeah.
What are we talking about today?
I know that you've had, a good, day or two at this point vis-a-vis fluids, but this is a very small room, and I don't want to risk it. So, today we're talking about dream jobs.
Dream jobs.
What do?
Great Foley work.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be like a starburst situation.
Yeah.
You know, a little bit of the more you know.
A little bit of a reading rainbow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's kind of what I was going for with my little tune, but I didn't want to get slapped with some, copyright stuff.
Yeah.
So,
we're so connected, bestie. We're on the same 90s television classic wavelength.
Not all the time.
But sometimes.
I made a SpongeBob joke the other night, and you had no fucking clue what I was talking about.
My parents didn't let me watch SpongeBob. I'm sorry.
It's not your fault.
I can't go back and change that.
It's not your fault, but it's a personal moral thing.
That my parents were too annoyed by SpongeBob to let me watch it.
No, that you just didn't watch it.
I didn't have a choice.
That's what I'm saying. It's a joke. It's a joke.
Ha ha. I've seen the SpongeBob musical. Does that count?
No.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's a good musical, though.
Yeah,
Tina Landau. Fucking crushing it.
Congrats, Tina.
I'm doing my best to contribute to the conversation, okay? I say as I interrupt you and you're starting a new thread. Sorry, go ahead.
It's okay. I was just going to explain to the audience that in case you're wondering, we're not professionals at, anything, let alone, medical advice or mental health advice. So, if you're coming here because you're like, yes, a podcast to help me with my ADHD, that's probably going to, it's probably not going to help you that much. I think we're good at helping you feel seen and understood and known. But that is about the extent of it, and I still wouldn't claim that for every episode. But just to blanket, we're not doctors, we're not therapists, we're not psychologists. No, we're just two absolute fucking idiots who happen to have ADHD.
And happen to live together.
Yeah, we're besties.
Yeah, we are. But we're also dumb, so don't take medical advice from us. Ever.
No, please don't. For fucking real.
Ned.
Go sit in your box. Yeah, your box. So when you say dream jobs, do you mean jobs that you've had in dreams? or things that, like, dreams, like those esoteric hopes and wishes for your future type of dream?
Neither, actually. I was talking specifically about the Sandman, Mr. Sandman, who mans me a sand.
So like a literal dream job.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. This is going to be a very corporate episode, actually. I can't even stick with that. I'm sorry. This is the least corporate.
Yeah, we're sitting here in our PJs, basically.
Yeah, it's hot. It's sweaty here.
It's sweaty here, and we're in a closet with a lot of padding because we're trying to make the audio sound good. Me. Audio needs to sound good for me to listen to the podcast.
Listen to our mouth noises.
Yeah, listen to how crisp all of my saliva is. God, fuck you. Yeah.
Why do I feel like I was just possessed by whoever does the voice for the ungodly loud movie trailer where it's like THX and it always like blows your fucking eardrums out because they're like, look at our sound system we've got. Fuck you.
Oh, yeah, I guess. Maybe, truly, yeah. I thought you were referencing you specifically in Crispy. And I was like, how? That was so quiet. It's not the THX bullshit. Fucking blasting my eardrums out from the safety of my fucking parents' basement. Like, come on. I'm coming at this episode with a lot of animosity just because I have a lot of animosity in my tummy right now. So
yeah.
If anyone's like, wow, Lex is in like a really like grumpy mood. Like, yeah, I am actually. Thank you for noticing.
I'm trying to think of something more fruitful to say because I know that this is probably not going to go over great, but my first instinct was just like, oh, is somebody grouchy?
Yeah, I am. I'm so grouchy.
Got some big feelings.
I don't really have big feelings. I got big shits. And
big voms.
Big voms. Truly, okay, sorry for the gross description, but it was pretty funny. The first night it started happening was a harrowing one. I went to the bathroom a couple times throughout the night, and one of the times was about 5 a.m., and the cats get breakfast at 8 a.m., 7:30, 8 a.m. every day. So when it's like only 2 hours beforehand and you're awake, the cats are like, so it's breakfast time, right?
So it's breakfast time, right?
But for
the sun is up and so are you. Feed me.
Yeah, but for me, I barely made it to the bathroom in time, let alone to make a whole stop to feed 4 assholes. Yeah. And so I'm there, I think fucking velociraptor screeching.
I was going to say, bathroom. I think death metal screaming into the toilet is a great metaphor for it.
Yeah, but I already said it once, so.
Velociraptor screeching is great too.
I know, yeah. We try not to repeat our bits too much on the podcast, and I feel like saying death metal screaming more than once in one episode.
It's a tough balance, because I think now I do have to say it one more time at some point. Because it's either once or you hit rule of threes, or it's way too many times. I can't just leave it at 2.
Okay, I mean, I've said it a couple times now, too.
All right.
In this conversation, so we've, I think, hit like 5 at least.
That'll do it.
Yeah,
anyways, continue.
So there I am, minding my own sad and horrible business. And then I hear outside the bathroom door, our sweet, sweet baby idiot Root Beer.
The big sister.
The big sister, who is our biggest cat. Mm-hmm. She's like the biggest built.
Yes.
But she somehow has the tiniest meow. Like Louis definitely has like a tinier meow, but his meow is not even a meow. It's like a seagull cry. So I feel like it's an outlier and shouldn't be counted. Mm-hmm. So between the 3 other cats, Root Beer has the babiest little voice, which is so funny because she is the biggest of them by a long shot. And so this giant, like, part Maine Coon monster is over here like, at the bathroom door. And meanwhile, I'm literally, like, at the same time, it's a symphony between the two of us. Her crying like a baby bird for food, and me just, and in the moment, I'm having a horrible time, but I also started laughing because I'm like, Root Beer, bitch, shut the fuck up. Like, I'm not feeding you right now. I'm fucking busy.
Yeah.
But also just the inherent comedy of me, like, and her just
Just like singing a little harmony there.
and I started laughing. And as you can imagine, that did not go well for me. It did not feel good. But it was still so funny. But yeah, no, I've been having a time. Not totally sure what caused it. But I still can't really eat normal food. And it's been 5 days now.
We'll get there.
So we'll see. But, dream jobs.
We've only spent 12 minutes talking about vomit. I feel like we're doing we're doing something.
We're doing okay.
We sure are.
I'm doing okay.
We're here. In the closet.
In the closet. The steamy, hot closet.
The sauna.
So we aren't actually talking about Sandman, though, right?
No,
we're talking
aren't.
about the esoteric hopes and wishes for your futures.
Correct.
Endeavor.
Although if you had an interesting dream where you had a fascinating job, also open to that. I don't want to yuck any yums here. Like, we're welcoming the creative energy, but generally speaking, yes, we are in the esoteric realm here. In terms of what dream jobs did you have? Why? And mayhaps what is or what would constitute as your dream job now?
Yeah. Can I ask you, we're an ADHD podcast, allegedly.
Yes.
In your own words, how would you describe dream jobs being at all related to having ADHD?
I suggested this episode probably 2 months ago. And I've forgotten since then.
Okay, well, that was a rhetorical question, because I know why.
So, great. Thank God.
I sort of just assumed you would have it and want to take it, but we had talked about it in the context of how, with the way that ADHD brains so often work, is that we hyperfixate on special interests of sorts, right?
Oh, right.
And that often leads to jumping from interest to interest as you get into it, delve into it, explore all there is to explore about a specific interest, and then you're like, well, I used up all the dopamine possible here, time for a new source, and you move along. So I think we were kind of thinking about the fact that growing up, when you have those hyperfixations, it often is sort of in the vein of like, well, what do I want to be when I grow up? I should do something with this. And I think that's kind of where we're taking it. So if you're like, what the fuck does this have to do with ADHD? Settle down. It has everything to do with ADHD.
Thank you for that. I had genuinely entirely forgotten, but it's, in the words of Celine Dion, it's all coming back to me now. That was a very eloquent description. So thank you very much.
Yeah. I think a lot of real vomit came out of me so that word vomit could stop coming out of me, and now it's just kind of concise.
It's just the artistic process here at OLP headquarters. I'm so sorry you have to suffer so much for our art.
You know, it's okay. The other day when you told me, when you went to, you went to another Fall Out Boy concert, which congrats. I could not go to the Fall Out Boy concert for the reasons we have previously mentioned. And you did so kindly pick up a shirt for me at the merch booth, and you got to talking with someone there, and, you know, mentioned that you were getting the shirt for me, your roommate and friend, and that, you know, I couldn't come anymore, and they were like, oh no, what happened? And you said...
Well, I paused for a second, and I thought about it, because, you know, I don't remember where I was going with that sentence, but I'm going to start this over. I paused for a second, and I realized that I didn't know how to answer that any other way, but I'm sorry, I can't think of a more polite word for projectile vomiting. And he went, oh!
Yeah.
So you got a fun little haha with a stranger, and that was it. You know, I suffered for that to happen, and if my suffering doesn't end in a bit, what's the point? But it did, so
that's what I'm saying,
right?
Like, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
You made it worthwhile.
Yeah.
With that single act, I was just happy to suffer for that one stranger at the merch booth.
Super worth it, right?
Uh-huh.
Great. So what was your dream job as a kid? What were your dream jobs?
Yeah, big question. For sure were. I had tons. I ran the full gamut of the usuals, right? Like, I definitely had an astronaut phase. I had a microbiologist, Jesus. I wasn't that nerdy. No, I had a marine biologist phase. I had a veterinarian phase. I had an actor. I believe what I would say is, I want to be a pop star. I had truly, I think the latest in terms of childhood, the latest one was zoologist. For most of high school, I really did want to be a zoologist, and I was like focused on biology classes so that I could go to school and be a fucking zoologist.
Wild.
So I think I focused on that one for a while, and then all of a sudden I pivoted, and I was like, wait, no, I want to be an actor.
After zoologist?
Yeah, and that's how I went to college at a big fancy, at a small, fancy, like, smart kid school that has a great bio program and not really, like, a fine theater program, but, like,
Not their
No.
shining star in the firmament.
No, and my parents were very happy to pay for this very expensive smart people's education because I was going to go and do biology things and be a zoologist. And then I decided, no, I want to do acting. And then, after my first semester of acting, I was like, this sucks ass. I hate this. I want to be an English teacher. And you know what program they didn't even have? Teaching. No, I made a lot of choices, so I ended up transferring to another place for the next 4 years. So I did like 5 years of undergrad because I couldn't fucking decide what my dream job was. And you know what happened? I majored in international relations and poli-sci. And then I didn't do anything with that and was like, you know what? I'm going to go to school again. I'm going to go to grad school. I'm going to be an anthropologist. This is it. This is the one. I've picked my path. Let's go. Did that for 2 years. And I was like, nah. Fuck this. And so I have 2 degrees that have absolutely no bearing on my life now, really. I mean, that's not fair to say. They've had a lot of influence on my life. But in terms of my career, I work as an office manager at a travel agency. So
that's international.
Yeah, that's a fair thing to say, but I am still the office manager, so my focus is entirely on the office in Chicago.
I tried.
I know, and I appreciate that, but that's what I'm saying. That's the point, is that my career has nothing to do with that. But, I really ran the gamut of the usuals, I would say.
I feel like that's I can't speak for anybody else, but I would guess that is a very relatable, like, jack of all trades experience. I feel like I have heard a lot of other folks with ADHD talking about ending up in that kind of position where you're like, I have a bunch of skills that I don't use, and then they, like, occasionally randomly come in handy because of this, like, string of abandoned hyperfixations I've left in the wake of my life.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's pretty much exactly it. Yeah. I know that my first dream job was, I think, a veterinarian. Because I remember being, like, real little. But obviously that's not where my life has gone and not where my life will go, and I don't want it to.
That's fair. That would be an intense job.
It would be. I mean, I guess, yeah, tell me about your first dream job or your past dream jobs. Tell me a little bit about how you got to be where you are now and what you wanted and what you didn't succeed in doing.
So, why I'm like this, essentially?
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. The earliest dream job I remember having was ice skater.
Yeah.
I took, like, a month of ice skating classes as, like, a 5 or 6 year old, I want to say. I was absolutely garbage at it. I was fine. I was probably fine at it. I wasn't great at it. I don't think that there's much to be terrible at when you're 6. The bar is pretty low. I will say I did also take gymnastics classes at that age, and I was actually terrible at gymnastics. I was in remedial gymnastics. So I was not a sporty child, to put it mildly. But, I mean, that was, like, little before I really understood what a job was.
Yeah.
It was just kind of that vague early concept of, like, grown-ups do things.
Yes.
But it was in some sort of vague realm of, like, I am gonna be a ice skater, dancer, princess.
You're gonna be the next Michelle Kwan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I can picture it so clearly. A little baby in the 90s.
I'd get home and drag out the, like, CD with, like, 3 Backstreet Boys songs on it I got from a Burger King kids meal. And I'd dump all of the toys out of my toy crate so I could turn it over and stand on top of it and dance to Backstreet Boys, which leads me to, I think, a pretty important side tangent off of this, which was not what I thought I was going to be when I grew up as a kid, but what my parents thought I was going to be when I grew up as a kid, because of this habit of liking to dance on things, and also the very, very understandable...
Sorry,
You're good. And also the very, very understandable and natural urge as a child to seek proprioceptive input and learn about what it feels like to move your body through space. So it is no surprise then that Singing in the Rain was later a formative film for me. But I just love, like, whenever we would walk by, like, a light pole or, like, a signpost or something, I would love to swing around it. So my parents have definitely told me, now that I'm an adult, of course, they didn't say this to me as a kid, but they were like, yeah, we thought you were going to be a pole dancer when you grew up.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's fair. And also, probably when you're a young parent and you got a kid that's doing that shit, I can absolutely picture myself. Not as a parent.
Yeah.
Like, that part's harder for me to picture, but in the terms of, like, if I was in that instance, you know, I would absolutely look at my partner and be like, this bitch is gonna be on a pole in no time.
If that's what you need to get through the day, that comedy, I get it. I can't imagine what it was like to put up with me as a small child, so fair enough. Differently, though, than I think your journey, my next dream job was pastry chef, cake decorator, from, like, mid-elementary school into, like, 2 years ago.
I was gonna say, that's still just kind of...
I still do that.
Yeah.
Just not professionally anymore.
Well, you do get paid to decorate cakes on the side. It's like your side hustle.
It is a side hustle, but I'm not, like, a pastry chef at an organization. I have half a culinary degree. That's another story. But I remember watching a lot of Food Network as a kid. Unwrapped was a big one back when they really started doing those food competition shows. Like, when those hit the scene, they were hot, and the cake decorating ones were just, like, catnip to my little baby brain. I loved that shit. And I was just like, yeah, this is cool. So I would sit in front of the TV and I would watch a lot of Good Eats. I watched a lot of Good Eats. I'm sure that fact will surprise nobody. And I would practice cracking an egg with one of my tiny little baby hands with, like, a plastic Easter egg.
Oh my God.
And what's great is that in college, actually more marvelously than I could have imagined, I got half my culinary degree, went, I don't know if that's going to go well, then decided to make the much more stable, financially responsible choice and go for a BFA in performance. But I ended up kind of getting to use that when I taught cooking classes. And people would ask me, because I would do this. That's just how I crack eggs now. It's ingrained in my soul. I can't change it. But I'd do it. People would be like, did you just crack that egg with one hand? How do you do that? And then I have to look them in the eye and say, well, I didn't go outside enough as a child. I was practicing instead.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my dream job. And
well, damn.
I think it was my dream job for ADHD-friendly reasons. I think it was a good mix of, like, creativity and experimentation, that it's, like, never quite the same thing every day, and that kind of freshness, I think, is... I know it's good for me. I feel like I hear it's good for a lot of other people with ADHD, where you get to do something a little bit different every day. And it's sugar.
Yeah.
Which is great. And when you're doing a cake for, like, a wedding or a party or something, there is a very solid, clear deadline.
Yeah.
You know how we feel about deadlines.
Love deadlines.
Love deadlines. And now I work in digital marketing.
Yeah, I'm realizing this episode is kind of bleak. When it comes down to it. Also, I forgot one of mine.
Oh.
A critical one.
Do tell.
And I'm surprised that I'm surprised I forgot to include this, but there was a good chunk of time where I was dead set on being a jockey.
Like for horses?
Yes, like for horses. I grew up riding horses, grew up doing 4-H. What other kind of jockey would I be?
Disc jockey?
Do I look like the type of person who's ever wanted to be a DJ?
I don't know.
Bro, you've known me for 5 years. No.
I don't think it's a bad thing to be a DJ.
No, it's not a bad thing, but it's just like absolutely not in my wheelhouse at all. And also, you know me, I'm a fucking horse girl. So like, what other kind of fucking jockey is there?
I figured it was that, but you did also open your whole journey with, I want to be a pop star. And those things are kind of related.
I guess. For me, pop star was like, I want to be the star of the show, sing, dance.
Yeah.
Which then, came back full circle my freshman year of college. And I was like, I'm going to be an actor.
Yeah.
And then I tried it and I was like, wait, actually, no, fuck this. I think I was also just very quickly disillusioned with the fact that, in respect to all of the people who go to school for BFAs and go to school for theater, but I realized in terms of pop stardom, it has fuck all to do with your actual talent or your training, and it's absolutely 100% about who you know. And given that I am from a lower middle class farming family, that's a no for me. But being a jockey for horses, like riding horses in races, I thought that would be the perfect career for me.
Why?
Because I like fucking riding horses. And I spent time around horses more than I spent time around people for a while. And then in middle school, or between middle school and high school, I got contacts, got my braces off, got boobs, made more friends, and realized that I'm funny and could maybe do something better with that. And also, I will say, my jockey dreams were dashed pretty quickly, because you know how you go to the doctor when you're a kid, and there's that fateful appointment where they measure you, and they've measured you enough year over year that they figure out, hey, I think based on, like, your foot size and your limbs and your, like, all your body ratios, this is probably how tall you're gonna be.
No, but I believe that happened to you.
It happens to other people, too. Like, we know how tall all of my nieces and nephews are gonna be.
That's wild.
It's, like, a scientific thing. Like, you can measure... Like, it's like how, I looked at root beer, and I was like, she's got giant fucking paws, she's gonna be a big cat. And then she hit a growth spurt and became a giant fucking cat.
Yeah.
It's, like, based on, like, the ratios of, like, your bones and your joints and, like, how you grow over your, like, I mean, I'm not, like, a pediatrician, so, like, I don't know the exact science behind it, but, like, that's a pretty normal thing. To be able to, like, estimate how tall a person will be when they grow up, based on how they're growing as a kid, and also on their, like, family and stuff. But... as soon as they found, like, they said that I was going to be, like, 5'5" or 5'6", my dreams were dashed pretty quickly, because that is already too tall to be a jockey. You have to be really, like, I mean, you can be, but that's really pushing the limit, and especially being a femme person with a uterus and a uterus-based body, my body weight and the way that it is... sorted is just not cut out for being a jockey. That's why you actually don't see a lot of women as jockeys, because our bodies are just not as aerodynamic, apparently, because we got a lot of extra fat. So unless you're somebody who's, like, really athletically built and doesn't have very much meat on you, but basically those hopes were killed pretty quick, which was a bummer for me. And I think for a long time I just had a dream of, like, having horses in the middle of nowhere and not having to do anything else, like just being able to live with horses. Yeah. That's an impossibility unless I marry a billionaire, because there's, like, horses are one of the most expensive animals to upkeep, and unless you can profit off of them at the same time, they're really not a good, like, pet. So,
forgive me if this is a noob question, but beyond horse jockeying and being a vet, as you also mentioned, are there many other horse jobs?
I mean, you can be a horse trainer. You can be a horse breaker. You can be...
A what?
It's called breaking a horse, when you teach them how to take a saddle and a human being on their back, because they're wild, like, well, they're domesticated, but they're an animal.
Got the wild spirit.
Yeah, so you have to, it's called breaking them because you have to break their spirit.
Great.
And it's not done that way anymore.
The title's a little bleak, though.
Yeah, but a lot of things in, like, farming adjacent, like, anything where you work with animals, there's usually going to be, like, some, like, maybe not outdated, because you still use them, right? But, like, there's going to just be, like, things that you say that maybe don't sound really nice or cute or happy to people who aren't around horses, but, like, yeah, so, or, like, break them in, you know, you have to break your shoes in.
Yep, yeah, I just got my first pair of knockoff docks, so I know that feeling very, very well.
Yeah, intimately.
Truly.
So, I'm sorry about your heels, bro.
It's okay. Real quick, actually, shout out to our friend Annie, who gave me a great pair of socks last week, and I wore them yesterday with my knockoff docks, and I ran around for multiple hours at a time, and don't have more blisters today. So I just wanted to shout out Annie.
This also could be a tried and true podcast ad because they are Bombas
They
socks.
are Bombas socks!
So I thought you were going with it. Like, thank you, Annie. They were Bombas. Which feels like the biggest fucking sellout move in the world. I know they were a gift. You didn't purchase them.
I did not.
But there is now a pair of Bombas socks in our apartment, and I am a little like, oh, okay, I guess we're at that level of podcasting, sure.
To be clear, this podcast is not sponsored by Bombas.
I mean, it could be. I'll sell out in a second.
I was gonna say, yet.
Yeah, no, like, if anyone wants to pay us to say shit, like, depending on what you're asking us to say, I'll probably say yes. You know?
I'm just imagining the opening sequence to Singing in the Rain, where he's like, dignity, always dignity, and then they're like fucking fighting each other in back alleys while wearing tap shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have dignity. I've been throwing up for 5 days. That's not true. It was like 3 days. And then the past 2 days have just been recovering's not the correct word, because I'm still suffering, but I haven't thrown up. That said, there are lots of jobs with horses. You can be, like, you can board horses, like, where you literally just take care of other people's horses.
Just have a horse hotel.
Yeah, basically, you have a horse apartment complex where they pay you monthly to feed and house and take care of their horse, and then they'll come and visit the horse. Maybe you could be a horse, like a
horse?
You could just be a horse. You could do like there's like Olympic sports, right, with horseback riding. So there's like other horseback riding things besides being a jockey. Like, you could be like a steeplechase rider, you could be a dressage rider, you could be a hunter jumper, you could, you know, like, you could be a barrel racer. There's a lot of different horse related things. You could be a farrier.
Oh.
That's the person who does the shoes on the horse. So, like,
okay.
A blacksmith for horses.
That's delightful.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's a dirty job, but like,
I mean, yeah, but like, there's a lot of dirty jobs, and
there's a whole show about it, in fact.
And honestly, it's not that dirty. Like, unless you're doing something wrong, or you're like working on a back hoof and it's time to poop, and you're not ready for it, and you don't get out of the way. Like, that could be dirty.
Yeah. Well, I know blacksmithing is a sweaty endeavor.
True. Yes.
So I think I was imagining the sweatiness, like, going into a very dusty environment, and I was like, oh, that's a sexy combo.
Fair. There's also horse dentists, because horses have such, like, they have kind of fucked up teeth. They're hard to take care of.
I mean, same.
Yeah. And then, because horses, you know, they're herbivores, so they have similar teeth to us, where they've got, like, very flat teeth, and then also just some, like, big ol' honkin' molars that are real good at grinding up hay and grass and oats and all that good shit.
That sounds appropriate.
Yeah, you could be a horse breeder, you know, like, where you just breed and sell horses. You could be an auctioneer for horse auctions. Like, there's so many horse-related jobs.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around the fact that you can be an auctioneer specifically for horses. I didn't realize that it was that you could get that specific. I thought it was kind of more of like a freelance situation. Like, I can talk fast, highly...
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been a part of, like, a stable community in a long time, but I know that there's, like, auction houses that are, like, specifically for horses. Like, or, like, there are some people who are, like, not necessarily, like, auctioneers in the old classic sense, but in the, like, almost like a broker, you know?
Yeah,
where they will sell horses for somebody, especially in the horse racing world.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know, like, gosh, when you get into, like, horse racing, right, there's, like, a lot of moving parts there in terms of, like, who's doing what, and, like, I think the thing about horse jobs, and I think any job where you're utilizing an animal for money and competition, it can be a really tiring and harrowing job.
Sure.
No matter what you're doing, because, like, I'm sure, especially this year, there have been a lot of notable deaths of thoroughbred racehorses and stuff, like, on and off track.
Oh.
At some major races this year. So, like, it's kind of come to a more of a point of prominence that, like, there's a lot of not necessarily intentional, well, some intentional mistreatment of these animals, right? But, like, a lot of also just unintentional, but could have been avoided if you were taking care of the animal and not worried about your bottom line, you know?
Yeah.
So there's, like, a lot of, like, ethical things about a lot of those industries that can be argued about all damn day long. But in my little kid brain, I was like, I want to go fast on a horse.
Valid.
Yeah.
Valid.
Like, oh, you could also, you know, maybe you could mix performance and horses and go work at, like, Dolly Parton Stampede.
Ooh.
Or, like, Arabian Nights or Medieval Times, where you've got these horses. That you can also be, like, a mounted officer. I mean, fuck cops, but, like, that is another job for horse people.
People do that, yeah.
Or you could be...
You could join a circus.
You could join a circus. You could be, like, one of those people that drives horses around Central Park. Like, little carriages, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot. And as a kid, the world was my horse oyster.
Horster?
My oyster.
Shire sauce?
Good.
There
There is a breed of horse called Shires. They're the biggest ones.
Horstershire? I don't know why that tickles me so much. It's probably because I've gotten, like, 4 hours of sleep, but...
And it's also so hot in here that I can, like, feel my skin, like, just letting off heat.
Yeah,
also,
it's sweaty. We can go ahead and wrap this one up. I think I would be curious to know, before we hop into the dopamine trampoline, what do you think make up a good dream job for someone with ADHD? Like, if someone were to ask you now, what is your dream job? Like, what would it be and why?
I feel like a quality control tester of some sort, like, specifically with, like, gaming. Like a quality, a QA, whatever. I don't know what the A stands for.
Assurance?
I don't know. But, like, the people who have to sink hours and hours and hours into a game.
Yeah.
And be okay with just, like, going and sinking a ton of hours into a game, getting that dopamine hit constantly, and then doing all the things, taking all the notes to fix it, and then moving on to the next one.
Yeah.
So that's what immediately jumped to mind for me. It was, like, literally just play game. Play game.
Game. Like game.
Like game.
Game good.
Yeah. Which, I mean, what's your answer to that question?
I mean, in a more specific example, and this is something that I'm very lucky to get to do a little bit of in real life and have seen a lot of ADHD brain rewards from, but working in event accessibility, because it's in theater, which I love doing, I love performing, I love that high energy, I love the deadline, I love the creativity, but also being in the accessibility field means that I get to tell people they're wrong, which is fun. I love knowing everything about something and being right about it. And I've explained it like this. If Pinterest mommy bloggers are right, then ADHD is my superpower. And if middle school bullies are also right, which they often weirdly are, my superpower is just being loud and annoying. So if I can use that being loud and annoying and also help make art at the same time, that's golden.
That does feel very you-specific.
It does.
And I love that. What would you say is the dream job for anybody with ADHD?
For a general. Okay,
Yeah, sorry.
I see.
I thought that's what you asked me. I don't want to be a QA tester.
Okay.
That's not what I want to do.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you a general one, and then you tell me your specific one. How about that?
Yeah, and then
Okay.
we'll get caught up and even. Yeah, I love that.
Love it. So, general, I would say one of those like 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off jobs where you just like hit it super hard and you can like dive in and get really focused and like have the time to sink into your job.
Like working on a fucking oil rig?
Yes.
Sorry, that's what came to mind. It's like
No, that's also
with that sort of schedule.
what I'm familiar with. And a lot of times people have to be on the night shift at jobs like that. And, you know, that delayed sleep phase disorder?
Disorder.
That delayed sleep phase disorder, boss. Anyways, yeah, I was trying to think of another example, but working on an oil rig is definitively the best job for people with ADHD. And we are definitely medical experts here. So
definitely.
Take our word for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
We support the oil industry. I can't.
You
I
really,
can't.
you
I
really.
can't.
I was like, you don't need to say it.
I can't. I couldn't. I tried.
Because we don't.
Nah, fuck them. Well, what's yours?
Yeah. So for me, I think like dream job would be no job. I would love to just like have fun and learn about shit when I want to learn about it and like contribute to society in a way that's like because I'm like funny and nice and have good ideas, not because I like need to be a wage slave on the lines of production, you know?
You've kind of just undercut this entire episode. You're right, but
yeah, no, I mean, I guess that's the other thing with the whole added caveat is that jobs suck.
yeah.
And I think having a dream job is so cool and exciting. And if there's people who are out there doing something that they love for work, like, that's awesome and so cool. And I'm so happy for you. That's not most of us.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. But I guess, like, I wanted to be a Twitch streamer for a little bit. I thought that would be pretty fun. It's, like, a very oversaturated market. So I'm like, whatever. But also, podcasting is an oversaturated market. And here we are.
Can't keep us down.
So maybe I'll do it anyways.
Still kicking.
But yeah, like a job where I can make my own hours, be like flexible and do whatever I want whenever I want and not have to worry about money. So
the Twitch streamer.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, fair enough.
Or like an influencer, I would sell out in a second. If someone was like, hey, will you take pictures of yourself looking hot in different locations around the world? I'd be like, oh, I don't know. I mean, I don't really have the money to afford that many plane tickets. No. We're going to pay you tens of thousands of dollars just to do that. And I'd be like, well, yes, please. I will do that. Thank you. So, you know, like, I know we're all annoyed with influencers, but don't lie. If you had that opportunity and you're telling me you wouldn't take it to take that much money just to dick around on Instagram, like, no, you're lying.
That's so fair. That's a lot of money. I love that for you, but I feel like maybe we should start a little smaller. With Bombas socks.
Oh my god! God, I mean, they're, like, they seem like good socks. I'm glad they helped with your blisters. Jesus Christ. This has been brought to you not by Bombas, but by rage and spite and a little bit of vomit.
And a lot of sweat.
So much sweat. We have shit we gotta do, Parkour team.
We do.
And we love you all a lot, even though it sounds like that sounds really insincere because of just the way that I sound, I think. If, like, we love you all a lot. That doesn't sound correct. It sounds like I'm lying to you.
We keep running into this problem. Let's do a very, very short dopamine trampoline where I'm just going to ask you, we're going to do a category, and you're going to tell me the thing in that category that brings you the most dopamine.
Okay.
Favorite flavor of popsicle?
Bomb Pops.
Nice. Mine are the strawberry shortcake ones.
Nice.
Or that's not really a popsicle, but the Tillamook ice cream sandwiches in terms of general frozen novelties.
Yeah.
10 out of 10. This podcast is also not sponsored by Tillamook, but it could be.
It so could be.
It definitely could be.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this has been Or Learn Parkour. from Wholehearted Production Company.
You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, wherever you can find podcasts, we should be there.
Special thanks to Carisha Perito for our cover art. You can find her on Instagram and Etsy and maybe Twitter. Who knows what's going on there? At Petal Hop. That's Petalhop. I skipped one? Did I skip one?
No, you just said it in a different order, and I think it might have just thrown you off. Thank you as well to Tom Rosenthal for our intro and outro song, There Is a Dark Place, off of the album Keep a Private Room Behind the Shop.
You can follow us on the social medias. We are at OrLearnParkour on Instagram, and we also have a website. It's wearewpc.com.
You can find links to all that, as well as links to sources and transcripts, in our episode description.
If you enjoy this podcast and want to hear more, hit that like and subscribe. You know the deal by now. If you don't want to hear more and are going to start your own podcast instead, click that Buzzsprout affiliate link in there. Do it.
Do it. You could also just give us some fucking money. We have a Ko-Fi. If you don't feel like supporting us by spreading around word of mouth, just give us some money. Go to that Ko-Fi link. It's in our Instagram and on our website.
Do it.
Please.
Or don't. That's up to you. But do it.
Yeah.
I'm Jordan.
And I'm Lex.
This has been Or Learn Parkour. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Ish.
Bye.